Okay, so we are in Parashat Shelach, and the main story of Parashat Shelach is Chet HaMeraglim, the sin of the spies that went to see the land of Israel, and they didn't want to enter the land of Israel. So, yeah, so this is a story, and after the story, there are three mitzvot. So it looks like not connected to that, but of course there must be some kind of connection. The three mitzvot are Nesachim. Nesachim were the additional things that were brought together with korbanot, sacrifice. So together with the sacrifice, the animal, they had to bring also wine, oil, and wheat. Three elements. And the meat, the wheat, the flour, and the oil together, it's like bread or something like that, and the wine. So this is Nesach and Mincha together with the Korban. So these things that was already written in other places, in Sefer Vayikra or Shmot, I don't remember. And here it says again, and there is a machloket what exactly it's adding here. Anyway, it says the first mitzvah that is mentioned after Chet HaEgel, the sin of the spy, is the Nesachim. The second mitzvah is mitzvah chala. The chala that we are doing, taking part of the chala, giving to the Kohen, it is here. And the third one is what's happening if someone made a sin, he should bring korban chatat. So it's again something that also is written. All these things are written in other places. And suddenly these specific three mitzvot are brought here, and it's not very clear what is the connection. So we are going to see today, Bezrat Hashem, not Chassidut, but a very long, I'm not sure we are going to see everything, but long and famous article or interpretation of Rashar Hirsch. Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, I think one of his most amazing writing. I mean, I don't know all his writing, but this one, it's amazing the combination between the halachot and the ideas, how he takes the halachot and develop an idea related to each one of them. So again, there are a lot of details that we are not going to see, but I will try to see as much as we can, as long as we have time. Related to the main idea of why, the question is why these things are here. So we start with the verses. So after the חטא המרגלים, וידבר השם אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת אליהם, you should speak to עם ישראל, tell them, כי תבואו אל ארץ מושבותיכם. So he says, this mitzvah will start in Eretz Israel. And it's something that repeats in the three mitzvot that we are going to see, or at least the two first. So it's emphasized when you will arrive to the land of Israel. Why is it important? Because in the Chet HaMeraglim, the sin of the spy, what was the punishment? Not to enter to the land of Israel. So I think apart from all the other messages we can see here, that also when you have to punish someone, you must always give him a hope. This is not forever, and it's only temporal, and we love you, and we want your good, and you will arrive to the land of Israel. Now it's a temporal delay, but you will arrive in the end to Eretz Israel. So immediately after saying the punishment you want enter the land of Israel, when you will come to the land of Israel. Okay, so don't lose your hope. So when you will arrive to your land that I'm going to give you, and you are doing Ishe LaHashem. Ishe comes from the word Esh, fire, meaning Korban. So Ola or Zevach, it can be or Ola or Zevach. What is Zevach? So we guess that if Ola is different from Zevach, Zevach usually it's Korban. So Ola is included inside the Korban. So we're speaking here about two kinds of Korbanot. Ola is it's called Holocaust offering, when all the sacrifice going to Hashem. And Zevach is Shlamim, is something that someone brought as a gift, as a special gift. All these korbanot also were coming sometimes for the public, for tzibur, but here we're speaking about, like I said, there is a machloket. Anyway, we're talking here about two kinds of korbanot, Ola and Zevach. We are not talking about chatat, korbanot that were brought for sins, sin offering. And it says, לפלל neder או בנדבה. When you did a neder, commitment, or נדבה, a volunteering offering. או במועדיכם, or in your holidays. לעשות ריח ניחוח להשם מן הבקר ומן הצאן. We bring it from the cows or from the flocks. So, when you are doing that, והקריב המקריב קורבנו להשם, מנחה סולת יסרון בלול ברביעית האין שמי. So you have to bring סולת יסרון. יסרון, it's a measurement, right? Volume measure of סולת. סולת, it's a flour. And it's mixed with רביעית, which is another רביעית ההין. 1/4 of hin, which is also a volume measure of liquid, like liter, right? So, and then, ויין לנסך, also רביעית העין, תעשה על העולה ולזבח לכבש האחד. For each lamb, you should bring these amounts. Or לעיל, if you're doing that with the עיל, עיל is what? Ram. So yeah, so ram, there is other measurement. If it's the solid should be 2 esronim, not 1 esron. And the oil would be 1/3. Before we saw it was 1/4. Now it's 1/3. ויין הנסך שלישית העין. And the wine should be also 1/3. So we can see that the solid is doubled, while the wine is not doubled. It's only going from 1/4 to 1/3. So it's not double. Okay? And then it continues. I didn't bring everything. After that, we have a cow or ox. And it's also the measurement of the wheat is another quarter. So we have quarter, half, 3/4, and the wine and the oil is
quarter, third, half.
Quarter, third, half. Yeah, quarter, third, half. So, and in the end of this mitzvah, it says, כל האזרח יעשה ככה את אלה להקריב אישי ריח ניחוח להשם. So every אזרח citizen, meaning every Jew, it's come to include goyim. When goyim brings korbanot, they shouldn't bring all these things, but the mikdash should pay. So let's say the house pay for that. So if a goy wants to bring korban, it is allowed. Certain korbanot, certain conditions, but it is allowed for goy to bring korban to Beit HaMikdash, but it don't bring this stuff. All this, the additional part, are brought by the treasure of Beit HaMikdash. Okay, the Beit HaMikdash paying for that and bringing that. But it says all citizens, and it's come also emphasized to include converts. וכי יגור איתכם גר, הוא אשר בתוכם לדורותיכם, ועשה אישר ריח ניחוח להשם, כאשר תעשו כן יעשה. הקהל, חוקה אחת לכם ולגר הגר. All the congregation has one law for you and for the convert. This is one of the sources of the rights of the converts in Judaism, that the converts are considered as Jews. Almost for everything. Not for everything, almost for everything. You know what converts are not considered as a Jew? No, we're talking about Ger Tzedek.
Oh.
They are not there. The first one, a convert woman cannot get married with Kohen. A convert man can marry a Kohenet because Kohenet doesn't have any. So this is one. And the other, he cannot be king. מקרב אחיך. A convert cannot be king, and there is extension of that. He cannot be in charge of things. Okay, this is the only limitation, but the fact that in the other things they have the same right, I would say also they don't have part in the land of Israel. So this is another problem. Anyway, returning here, this is the source of the equality of rights of what?
It's not the same. It's
What?
דור ראשון של גיור.
Well, that they cannot get married with Kohanim.
yeah. I'm saying these restrictions.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the laws, maybe also sons, I don't remember. Anyway, it's not apart from these exceptions, usually the Gerim has the same laws as the Jews, and this is a source for that. It says, הקהל, חוקה אחת, one law would be for you, and for the convert, חוקת עולם לדורותיכם, ככם כגר יהיה לפני השם. It's a law for the eternity, for all the generation, like you, like the convert, I mean, both of you are the same, would be in front of Hashem. And again, he repeats again 3 times, Torah achat, one Torah, u'mishpat echad, one law, will be for you and for the converts that live with you. Okay, so this is the first mitzvah after Chet HaMeraglim, the sin of the spies, mitzvat Nesachim. What it has to do with the spies, we didn't see it for now, any connection. Only that it's mentioned that it only will happen when you will arrive to the land of Israel. So this is the first mitzvah. The second mitzvah, again, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe lemor, it starts over, and it says Hashem spoke with Moshe, and he told him, Daber bnei Israel aleim bevoachem el haaretz. Again, he mentioned, emphasized, when you come to the land of Israel. So mitzvat chala is only in the land of Israel. Why are we doing it here? It's a memory to remember how to do that. When we arrive to the land of Israel, we will know. Right? But basically, mitzvat chala is bevoachem el haaretz. אשר אני איתכם שמה, והיה באכולכם מלחם הארץ תרימו תרומה להשם. When you're eating from the bread of the land, you should give תרומה להשם. Even though it's not להשם, it's the כהנים. ראשית הריסותיכם, חלה תרימו תרומה, כי תרומת גן, קורן כן תרימו אותה. מראשית הריסותיכם תיתנו להשם תרומה לדורותיכם. So he said, from the beginning of your dough, you should bring chala, and the same as you are doing with the harvest, that you're bringing truma, the same you should also bring from the chala. From the beginning of your dough, you should give truma all your generations. So this is the second mitzvah, also only in the land of Israel. And the third mitzvah, וכי תשגו ולא תעשו את כל מצוות האלה שדיבר השם אל משה. If you will make a mistake, you should bring korban chatat. Okay, and I didn't bring it, it brings the different kinds of korbanot chatat. Okay, so again, the question here, why these 3 mitzvot, 3 of them mentioned in other places of the Torah, are written here after the sin of the spies? Okay, this is the big question here, and what it has to do with each other, the 3 of them. So, Rashar Hirsch, again, one of the masterpieces of Rashar Hirsch, is this interpretation, very long, and I skip most of it, but yeah, we'll see. It says, המצוות הכלולות בפרק זה, the mitzvot that written or included in this chapter, קשורות בקשר הדוק, very closely tied, למאורעות הגורליים המתוארים בשני הפרקים הקודמים, to the crucial events that were described in the 2 former chapters, which are the sin of the spy. This was the 2 first chapters of the parasha, are about the sin of the spies. The tie is so close, or the relation are so close, עד שנראה שמצוות אלו ניתנו כמענה לאותם מאורעות. And it looks that these mitzvot are the answer for these events. So these events revealed weakness, sin, mistake, problem, and the answer for the problem of Chet HaMeraglim is these 3 mitzvot, are these 3 mitzvot. This will be clarified when we will check or examine the mitzvot for the details. So, the mitzvah rishona of these 3 in mitzvah parashat Nesachim, that teaches us that we must add mincha and nesach. So, mincha is a mix of the oil and wheat or flour, and nesach is the wine. So, we have mitzvah to add mincha and nesach to each korban olah and each korban shlamim. Now, again, I skipped all the explanations that he gave about all the details. Why it's written here, I mean, what it's added here to what it was written in other place, if it's for individual, if it's for the public, why it's only olah and shlamim and not chatat and dasham. It's all the details that are learned from the verses, he explained in this part that I didn't bring in. And he says, היוצא מדברים אלו, the conclusion of all these things, שבמצווה הזו של הנסחים, that in this mitzvah of the נסחים ניתנה ההוראה, the instruction was given, that from now on, you are not allowed to bring עולת בהמה או שלמים, so it's not, another detail that you can see in the verses, it's only animal, it's not birds. No, it's not birds. So if, you know, there are some kind of korbanot that are brought with, how do you say, yonah?
Dove.
Dove, yeah, dove. Uh, so when you bring doves, you don't bring korban nesachim. Only with animal, lamb, goat, lamb, ram, or cow. Okay, so this is a anyway. And in the korbanot of olah or shlamim, so you are not allowed to bring olah of animal or shlamim unless you bring with it minchat solet ונסך יין. You should bring the מנחה and the נסך. וצריך לצרפם או להוסיפם אחר כך לכל בהמה ובהמה שאדם מביא. You should add them for each animal. You cannot bring one for many animals. You should bring it one for each animal that you bring. You bring 10 lambs, you have to bring 10 of these amounts. משמעות הדבר היא כך. Now we try to explain the meaning behind that. נפש ישראל, a soul for the Jewish people, a person, right? You can sometimes call it soul, but the meaning is a person. של היחיד או של הציבור, ניגשת אל השם במקדשו. Approach to Hashem in his temple. So you are coming to the temple to make a korban, meaning you are approaching to Hashem. In this time, it express, or she, it says, it speaks here like in a female because it speaks about nefesh. Soul is female in Hebrew. So she is a soul expressed by that, the sanctifications of the actions out of feeling of commitment or obligation, or out of the feeling of joy. Meaning, when you are bringing olah, it's usually an obligation. And when you are bringing, it says it's expressing the feeling of obligation. I am obligated to serve Hashem. So this is one level of feeling. And the shlamim was brought in happy occasions many times. When you were saved for something, or you want to thank Hashem for something, so you bring shlamim. So it's expressing the feeling of joy in the heart, osher, happiness. And what you are doing, you say, I feel that, I feel commitment, I feel joy, and I want to handle it over to the fire of the מזבח. So הוא מוסר את לאש המזבח את האישיות ואת כוחותיה. My personality and my powers, or the power of my personality. So this is the idea of korban. Before starting speaking about Nesachim, we are talking about the korban. What we are doing when we are bringing korban, we are saying we're feeling that, and this is me right now, I want to give that to Hashem. Okay, so this is the idea generally of the korban shlamim and korban olah. But he says you are now only obligated also not only to bring that, אך מחויבת למסור לאותו מזבח ולאותה אש, to the same altar and the same fire, גם את הנכסים החומריים המאפשרים את הקיום, הרווחה והעושר. So you also should give your material property, possessions, that enable you existence. רווחה is, I would try saying, no, רווחה is more than you need for your existence. So if you need the basic, you need a little bit of bread and water. If you are eating also oil together with bread, so the oil represents the more than necessary. And osher is joy. So what is saying again? So there are material possessions that enable you your existence, your food. They are enabling you also having more than the minimum necessary to exist. And also they enable you happiness. And with what is the happiness? The wine. So again, the existence is flour. No, from the three elements of Nesachim, we have flour, oil, and wine. The flour is enabling us the existence. The oil enabling us more than the existence. You don't have to eat bread with oil. You can eat unflavored bread without taste, without flavor. What? Yeah, without oil. I don't know if I told you, I heard from Rabbi Meidan, he said that in the time of the Romans, they gave the slaves to eat flour. You don't have to bother in baking it. They can exist with flour, you should eat that. I think it's a waste because it's going to fall. No? But They didn't want even to invest. They weren't human for them. They was just instruments. So just to keep them alive, you give them flour like that. So flour you can survive, but you want a little bit of flavor. So you add. So the additional part for the existence is the oil. And what makes you happy? You, maybe me not, drinking wine.
And eating meat.
What?
Eating meat. Meat and
Yeah, so the meat is a part. Meat is a korban. We say the korban represent, I'm giving my personality to Hashem. Because the meat of the korban is not because of the food. The meat is meaning instead of the life of me, I give in the life of the animal. I should have given myself. That's what I said. It's giving my personality, meaning I should have been the one who is on the altar. Instead of my soul, I give the soul of this animal. Right? But so what I'm doing is the act of giving myself. So I'm giving myself to the temple, and this is the korban. Additionally to that, I'm not only giving myself to Hashem, I given all my material possessions that enabling me these three things: existence, additional, and joy or happiness. So, like we said before, yeah, it's in Sefer Shemot. So this obligation, meaning of bringing Nesachim, already was decided or was instructed in the daily national korban. What is a daily national korban? Is korban atamid. And this is said in Sefer Shemot. Yes, so in Sefer Shemot, after explaining about building the Mishkan, there is one parasha that speaks about korban tamid. And it says the korban tamid, you should bring one lamb in the morning, one lamb in the afternoon, and together with the lamb, you should bring Nesachim. So the Nesachim were already said in Shemot, but about the national korban, not about the individual korban. And he said, from there we learn not only about the korban atamid, the daily korban, but all the public korbanot. So in the korbanot, there is two kinds, many kinds of korbanot, but we can divide them in different ways. We can divide them according to the types: shlamim, ola, and chatat, and asham. We can divide them according to times or not specific times. Or we can also divide them between individual and congregational. Communal. Of what? Prayers. The opposite. Prayers instead of korbanot.
Yeah.
In the beginning it was korbanot, and now we have prayers. But it's not very accurate. Apparently, there was a mitzvah, or not apparently, according to Rambam, according to Ramban, according to everybody, there is a mitzvah to pray even when there are korbanot. It wasn't established in the way we have today, 3 times a day, certain times, certain version to say, certain words to say. So it was established later. But the mitzvah to pray was always from Moshe Rabbeinu, from Sinai, meaning from the giving of the Torah, it was a mitzvah to pray. But it doesn't have to do now. Now we are talking only about korbanot, not about the prayer. So what he's saying here is that the obligation to bring Nesachim was first established with the daily korban atamid, and from that extended to each korban that is of the congregation. So usually in the holidays they brought, and other cases they brought what we call korban tzibur, korban of tzibur. But now, ולא עוד, אלא שזאת תהיה חובה. So again, it depends in the way he explained. I didn't bring that before. There are machloket between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva. What exactly was added here? So he said, mikan ve'elach, meaning from this time, from this mitzvah, it was extended to all kind of korbanot tzibur, not only korban tamid, not only the daily korban, any kind of korban tzibur should be brought with nesachim, ve'lo od, and not only that, but also it will be obligation in every olah or zevach that the individual bring. So we learn from here about the other korbanot tzibur and about the individual korbanot that someone bring from obligation, meaning olah, or because he wants, meaning neder or nedava. So he made himself obligated. חובה על תנאי, conditional obligation. מכיוון שהחובה להביא נסכים, נדר או נדבה, באה כתוצאה מההחלטה החופשית להביא עולה או זבח. So again, once you decided to bring korban, or once you are obligated to bring korban, you must also bring with that all the nesachim. Okay, so this is the first point. The first point that is saying that the Nesachim represents, apart from giving yourself in the Korban, you are giving to Hashem. What is giving to Hashem? You still have your possession. You have your bank account. You don't have to bring the bank account. Meaning by giving something symbolic, you're saying actually everything belongs to Hashem. My existence and my possessions. All of them comes from Hashem, and I give in something symbolically that shows that actually everything belongs to Hashem. Myself and all my possessions, those who enable me joy, existence, and shemen, and oil. Okay, so this is the first point. Now we add another things. עלינו להתבונן עוד בכך. We should contemplate more about that. שהתורה מייחסת משמעות לאומית לחובה ולכשרות להבין נסחים. That the Torah relate the obligation and the ability to bring נסחים a national significance. What is a national? We say the difference between Jews and non-Jews. While Jews and non-Jews can bring korban, meaning they can say, I'm giving myself to Hashem, there is a difference between Jews and non-Jews in the question if they can bring Nesachim. Nesachim, we said only Jews. And Korban, also non-Jews, but Nesachim, only Jews. So we should look why. What is the difference? Why only Jews can bring, that we say, the fichar, that's the reason, that mitzvat Nesachim is only for the Ezrach. Ezrach, today we would translate Ezrach as citizen, but in the Torah it means Jew. למעט הנוכרי, excluding the goy, the non-Jew. From the other side, the Torah wants or finds it correct to say clearly that the convert are obligated and allowed to bring nesachim. More than that, the obligation of the ger and kashruto. When you say kashruto, meaning that he is allowed. So there is, you can say this is obligation, but he's not allowed. So you must ask someone to bring for him. They're two different things, right? So his obligation to bring and the fact that he is allowed to bring, this is a knei amidah, is the measure, it's the criteria to the rights and the state's status of the convert. Like I told you before, that from these verses we learn from all the other laws. All the other laws that the goy, the convert, has the same laws as a Jew, we learn from that, from Nesachim. Okay, so this is, we say, the criteria. Here, the criteria is established that the goy is equal, as I say, the convert is equal to a Jew. שאליהם קושרת התורה את ההכרזה הגדולה, to this mitzvah, the Torah relates the big declaration of the equality between the convert in front of Hashem and the Torah. The conclusion is, indeed, that the idea of nesachim is one of the pillars of the Jewish nationality and the Jewish destiny. Okay, they are big words. It's one of the pillars of the base. We learn the Jewish nationality and the Jewish destiny from nesachim, from the fact that we say we are a nation, including all those who are Jews. We are one nation. חוקה אחת, one law. מתורה אחת ומשפט אחד. זה one Torah, one law to everybody. הוא מושרש ביסוד שחסר בגר מצד עצם אותו גר. The problem, or what is the goy is missing, is exactly the nationality, because there is usually in the world difference between nationality and religion. Religion is faith, nationality is usually more biological pertenency. Huh? Ethnic, yeah. So, but I mean, but it's come from where you born. It's hard to change nationality. You can change, I mean, you can be formally according to the law, but if you will come to other nation, you will stay Russian, right? or Ukrainian or something, right? Or Israeli. We are still Israeli. You know, I live here, or South African. It's hard to, I mean, maybe there's a generation to come. So again, returning here, a convert is lacking the sense of nationality. So when we want to create a nation, including the converts, we are putting the idea of nationality in I mean, the idea of inclusiveness of the conversions in the place when we emphasize the nationality. That we say it is rooted in the fundamentals that is missing for the convert, for the fact that he is convert. And for that, unless the Torah would have said clearly, we could have seen the convert as someone that is not obligated with the Nesachim. He is not enabled, is not allowed to do that. So this is like the question, the declaration. The Nesachim are related to our nationality. Okay, this is something that should be understood. So as we said, the Mikdash require that the Mincha and the Nesach will be brought with every Olah and Shlamim. And by that, the Mikdash, maybe I don't know if I erased that by mistake. There is another point here that I didn't explain before. That he said the Korban itself, maybe it's coming from you. Okay, you made a sin, you recognize that and you bring, but this is in Chatat, it's not related to that. In Shlamim and Olah, usually you decide, I want to thank Hashem because I had a baby, or I want to thank Hashem for something, and I made a vow, and I bring in Korban. So the initiative to bring Korban comes from you. Once you decide to bring Korban, the requirement to bring Nesachim comes from the temple. The temple say, if you want to bring Korban, this is my condition. So we can say the Korban is from us to him, and the Nesachim are requirement from him to us, or from the temple to us. So he says, as we saw, the Mikdash, the temple require to bring Mincha and Nesach together with each Olah and each Shlamim. And by that, the Mikdash, the temple, approach and say to everyone that come inside in his gates, you are giving to Hashem your soul, your personality, your feeling and thinking personality, the one that aspire, that wants, desire, and acting. But you have to know that not only the soul belongs to Hashem and His Torah, but also all your possessions, right? The oil, the wine, and the wheat. All the fundamentals that are needed to the existence, to the extra, and to the joy. All of those are also acquired by Hashem and by the Torah, and depends only in Him. And nobody can really have them unless by doing the will of Hashem. וכלכלת הקודש עלי אדמות. I have to explain also this point. כלכלת הקודש, כלכלה is economy in Hebrew, but in this case, לכלכל is like to maintain, the maintenance of the Kodesh. So it says here, if you want all these elements, you must maintain the holiness in this world, meaning you have to bring that to the temple. Only if we maintain and will nekayem, will
Bring into existence.
bring to existence the fire of the Torah that burn upon the Mizbeach, so we also will have the merit to have the economy and the existence. Like we said every day in Kriyat Shema, v'haya im shamoa v'natati. If you will hear the Torah, you will get the existence from Hashem. So what we are saying here, that the temple is speaking with you. You say, my soul belongs to Hashem. And the temple tells you not only your soul, everything that you have comes from Hashem. So you must understand that you must maintain holiness in your life. You must maintain the mitzvot, you must maintain the system that brings holiness, the yeshivot, the Bet Mikdash, the synagogue, right? So the existence of your existence in the world depends on you maintaining the existence of the holiness in the world. The two things are connected to each other, and that's what we say, והיה אם שמוע תשמעו ונתתי מטר ארצכם בעתו. So, we learn from that, ונמצא שנסחים הם ביטוי לכך שהשם מעצב את גורל ישראל בהשגחתו ובהנהגתו הישירה. So this is a very important principle in faith, in the Jewish faith, that our existence is in the direct providence and supervision, I would say, of Hashem, right? And this is come to reality or expressed by the Nesachim. The fact that when a Jew brings Korban, he must bring also these elements, mean that for Jews, individually and nationally, our existence depends on our behavior. If we want to win the war against Iran, we should behave in certain way. If we want to Bet Mikdash to be built, we should behave in certain way. If we want to be prosper and to be rich and wealthy nation, we must follow the Torah. And there is a direct connection between our behavior and the way we live in. So he says, there is a question, so maybe we don't see that directly, the direct connection. This is a philosophical question. Now we are just assuming and accepting, not only assuming, believing, accepting that this is truth, meaning there is direct connection between our material situation and our spiritual behavior. Okay? And this is expressed by the Nesachim. This truth, meaning that the destiny of Israel depends in the providence of Hashem, is a fundamental or the base to the covenant with Abraham that exists in Israel. And this is also the base to the mission that was put upon Israel for the sake of the Torah. The destiny of Israel is determined directly by the leadership of Hashem. Anhagat Hashem, it's not leadership. Usually we translate Anhaga as leadership, but here is the meaning of that Hashem is managing all, what? Guidance? No. Guidance is to tell you what to do. Lanhig, meaning what's happening is actions. Is managing the situation. He is the one who's doing that. So it's related to providence. Providence means that Hashem is taking care of you. Not only that he's watching you, that he is arranging the things that things will happen correctly, in the right way. Even though it may look to us messy or not clear. So this is Anhaga. Anhaga means that Hashem is the one who's taking care of us. The providence of God is active, is intervening, engaged in what's happening in this world. So, and so it says this truth is the base or the fundamental, the base of the covenant of Abraham, and it's also the base to the mission that was put upon Am Israel, that the destiny of Israel is determined directly by the providence of Hashem. And ignoring this truth is the essence of the sin that we just read on. So the essence explains the essence of Chet HaMeraglim. So it's a huge question. We mention that every year. What these people thought, why they didn't want to enter to the land of Israel, why did they imagine that, why were they afraid, didn't they know that Hashem with them? So there are different answers to that. But they say, according to this explanation of Rashar Hirsch, the essence of the sin of the Meraglim, that they didn't believe that the destiny of Am Israel is determined by God. They thought, depends, we are strong enough, we are not strong enough, well, is it worthwhile to enter, it's not worthwhile. So they did calculations without taking into consideration that our destiny depends on Hashem. So we must always have in mind, Hashem decide what will happen with that. It doesn't mean, again, that we shouldn't do the utmost effort to do the things by ourselves and to manage our business according to the nature, etc. But we should always take into consideration Am Israel is led by the providence of God. So ignoring this truth is the essence of the sin that we just read. It was the sin of the people and the sin of his agents, shluchav, messengers, and his people. And as contracts to them, only Caleb recognized the truth and expressed it with his courageous words. Dvarav ha'amitzim, courageous words. If Hashem wants us, Caleb they say, we cannot go to the land of Israel. They say, if Chafetz banu Hashem, if Hashem wants us, he will bring us to the land. Why he adds, if Hashem wants us? He could have said, we can win. So it says, everything starts from what Hashem wants. About Am Israel, when you're talking about Am Israel, everything starts with what Hashem wants. Im Chafetz banu Hashem, so he will bring us to the land of Israel. The lesson that should be learned from the Nesachim is that hearing in the voice of Hashem, here it's a little bit poetic, is a sun that fertile our fields. Fertile, you say? Make your fields fertile? Fertile. So, but what is the verb of fertile? Fertilize, yeah. It's putting the materials in the land, no? What?
Nurse. Oh, nurse.
Nurse. Nurse, like nursing.
Nurse. No, like
Nourish. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would be the word. So the sun that nourish our fields is Hashem. What does it mean? Fields, our food, our food, our parnasa, our wealth is also directly guided by Hashem. And also is the sword of the gvura, of the strength of our victories. Also very relevant for us today. So the sword, the strength of our victories are directly under the providence of Hashem. For that, the close tie between the parasha of the Nesachim and for that, the close tie between the parasha of the Nesachim and the sin of the spies look clear. But after you said all of that, it looks clear. Before that, it just look to random things, right? No, but it says that's exactly what it says. You should believe that all the material, normal, natural things that happen to Am Israel is a result of the divine providence. And this yesod, this base, or this principle, this principle, that the destiny of Israel in the land of Israel is depending in the hearing the voice of Hashem, it's also the meaning of the words in the beginning when you will come to the land of Israel. So why relate Nesachim to the land of Israel? We said that it was already in the desert, in the Korban Tamid. Why the rest of the Nesachim are related to the end of the land of Israel? Because this kind of things, meaning our existence, material existence, and our victories and all this stuff are related to the land, to Hashem, is especially in the land of Israel. In the land of Israel, there is a direct connection between our behavior and the things that's happening to us. Yeah.
Was that also after the spies?
This is after the spies.
So maybe it's also like a way for Hashem to say.
Yeah, that's what I said at the beginning. I said that when you are punishing someone, yeah, we have to finish in 5 minutes. We're not going to see everything. Okay, so we will skip a little bit here. We have only 5 minutes. He explained all the details of the halachot. Really, very, very nice. Very interesting. He explained why the difference in the amounts. Right? We say this is doubles and this is not doubles, only going to, yeah, also here, and about the levona. So he said also the wine is a happiness, etc. Yeah, why only here? Why it's only in Ola and Shlamim and not in the sin? Related to the songs of the Leviim. Related to that, okay, let's see. I don't know. In the end, I won't use this 5 minutes at all. Okay, let's continue only with the chala. We said all the 3 mitzvot are related to this idea. The mitzvah of Nesachim, chala, and korban chatat. Okay, so he says now we are going to see chala. Parashat chala, the parasha of chala, also related closely to Nesachim, because Nesachim teaches us that our existence, our revacha, I will leave it with the revacha, you already understand what is it, and our happiness of the national growth depends directly in the governance of Hashem. And Parashat Chala teaches us that also the parnasa of each house and each individual also related to the private providence of God. So all what we said about the nation as a nation, which is a strong connection, it's also true for every individual. Our parnasa and our existence depends in the direct providence of Hashem. And again, the question of Tzaddik Veralo is always existing in this kind of explanation. We do believe that basically this connection exists, even though there may be many times which don't see that directly, for many, many reasons. There can be many, many reasons, but I'm not going to enter and to answer this question. I'm just taking here as a truth that also the individual wealth and existence and health depends in his behavior. There is a direct connection between the behavior and our situation. So this is what we learned from Parashat Chala, that also the parnasa of each house and each individual is under the direct providence of Hashem. Not only as the metaphor that we said before, that the light of the sun make the harvest of the nation, of the fields of the nation, it's a direct agent of Hashem in his land, but also about the destiny of each house and each person, and also the part of each person in the general success. Okay? So he said, this is, you can see in the donation of challah. Alongside we saw in the verse that the verse compares the challah and the truma. The truma is the 10% that you give, 10 or not 10%. It's the amount that you give to the Kohen, right? This is a truma. In the beginning, you bring truma gdola. What?
2%, 2.5%.
No, this is from Chachamim. From the Torah, anything. Yeah, truma is anything from the Torah, and so you bring it to the Kohen. So the truma of the challah, and that also about challah, we give amount. Well, we used to. Now we give anything because this is the original law from the Torah. So
It wasn't baked in.
yeah, it was a specific amount,
Yeah.
but it's from Chachamim. From the Torah, you can give anything. So truma and challah, but this is not what he say. So why do we learn about truma and challah? It says sometimes there is a blessing in the general harvest, meaning this was a good year, it was a good rains, it was raining, it was good. I mean, the weather, everything, it was a lot of blessing. But even though achefshar, still it's possible that someone with his house are going to be angry to angry, hungry. Yeah, meaning that even when there is a very good year, I don't know, for example, in the stock market, so everybody made millions, but not everybody enjoys that, right? Not everybody. So the stock market is going up, but maybe you didn't buy the right, or you didn't, not even there, right? So the fact that there is wealth in the country, in the state, doesn't mean that every individual has wealth. That's what he says. He said, even maybe it will be part of the general blessing, meaning it's also going to work, it's part of the system, economical system, etc. But the bread of his house is not blessed. So maybe he has to eat, but it's not blessed. You don't see blessing in what you have. Sometimes also the opposite happens. So sometimes there is a big mahsor, lack. When
Loss.
what? Mahsor, meaning that there's not enough, there's no blessings, there's no wealth. Yeah, there is a poverty. Yeah, you can say poverty. There is wide poverty and high prices, but there may be some individuals that do not suffer at all because I don't know they hold the market or what they sell the. Yeah, so even in time of stress, there may be some individuals that enjoy that. They are fed by the hand of Hashem, even without taking part in the blessing of the harvest. So, הפרשת חלה משיעור המן. The חלה, is the minimum of חלה is עשירית האפה. עשירית האפה was the amount of man that was given to each person each day. That's what he say, עשירית האפה סולת. עשירית, והמן עשירית האפה הוא. So the man is like the existence of every individual. You give in challah once you are doing dough of one עשירית האפה, of this amount. שהוא שיעור העיסה חייבת בחלה, מורה שפרנסת המן ממשיכה. Why we give it from this amount? Because it teaches that the parnasa that come from the man continue also today. We don't get man from the sky, from heaven, but we actually do. All the food that we given to us is given us from Hashem, from the blessing of Hashem. ושהשם אזן ומכלכל את כל בריאותיו, that maintain or nourish all his creatures, not only supervise worlds and countries, but also inside the countries his providence is on towns, and inside the towns on houses, and inside the houses on people. He is supervise every soul, old or young or old, that calls him and desire his love. So mitzvat chala represent the personal providence, what we call השגחה פרטית. את כל חב"ד say that a lot, no? השגחה
Practice.
השגחה פרטיס. Right? So this is מצוות חלה. And this is a necessary complete, to complete something, how do you say? להשלים.
To complete.
This is a necessary
Completion.
completion, necessary. When you have something that it's not filled, and then you add another part, and then it's filled. Right? This is a necessary aid or perfection that is to mitzvat mincha v'nesach הקודמת לה, that was prior to her, that it's dedicated to the general providence. So mitzvat nesachim is a general providence, and mitzvat chala is a personal one. Okay, I think we must finish here. And it's also related to the land of Israel. It's also in the land of Israel, there is more providence than in other places. Okay, yeah. So we will stop here.
Was it, they didn't have to take anything from the